Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Today is Friday, January 5th, lunar November 24th. Welcome to the program. First, let me introduce the main content of today's program. President Maldives will visit China at the invitation of President Xi Jinping. President Xi Jinping attaches great importance to the important role of digital technology in protecting the inheritance of China's excellent traditional culture. Since the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, China has comprehensively strengthened the construction of digital culture to promote the creative transformation and innovative development of China's excellent traditional culture. Qiang holds a meeting of the State Council. Qiang signed a State Council order to announce the State Council's decision to amend the consumption and adoption of materials management regulations. Various industries around the world are working hard to start a new year with new equipment. In the first 11 months of 2023, China's total export-import trade increased by 9%. The number of people killed in the earthquake in Japan rose to 95. There are still 222 people missing. Some organizations claim to be responsible for the Iran Kerman explosion. According to President Xi Jinping's invitation, President Maldives will hold a state visit to China from January 8 to 12, 2024. China's excellent traditional culture is the smart crystal and essence of Chinese civilization. President Xi Jinping attaches great importance to the important role of digital technology in protecting the inheritance of China's excellent traditional culture. He pointed out that modern technology should be used to enhance the protection, repair, and comprehensive use of ancient classics. We should let cultural relics speak, let history speak, and let culture speak. Since the 18th National Congress of the Party Central Committee, which is based on Comrade Xi Jinping, has focused on the great renewal of the Chinese people's strategic overall situation and the great change that has not occurred in the world for 100 years. It is deeply aware of the characteristics and rules of Chinese-specific socialist cultural construction in the context of the information age. The comprehensive destruction of digital cultural construction promotes China's excellent traditional culture, creative transformation, and innovative development. In the past year, new technologies that represent big data and artificial intelligence have accelerated the development and rejuvenation of China's excellent traditional culture. General Secretary Xi Jinping attaches great importance to digital cultural construction. He pointed out that the fusion of culture and technology has boosted the new cultural industry, extended the cultural industry chain, and gathered a large number of innovative talents. He emphasized that it should conform to the digitalization and industrial digitalization development trends, accelerate the development of new cultural industries, transform and improve traditional cultural industries, and improve quality efficiency and core competitiveness. Under the scientific guidance of Xi Jinping's new era of Chinese-specific socialist thought, it is clear to implement the ideas of China's excellent traditional culture inheritance development project, promote digital preservation and dissemination. The 10-character 5-year plan and the 2035 long-term goal stem were proposed to implement the digitalization strategy of the cultural industry and accelerate the development of new cultural enterprises, cultural industries, and cultural consumption models. After years of digital exploration, the Palace Museum has now completed the digitalization of more than 900,000 collected cultural relics. The high-definition image of more than 100,000 cultural relics is released to the public. The Digital Palace, which encompasses the functions of protection, display, research, and education, is becoming a new way for more than 10,000 audiences around the world to open museums. As an example of a wise museum, China's National Museum launched the Chinese Civilization Cloud exhibition at the end of last year. In the exhibition, the first batch of virtual digital people in China's museum system are connected to ancient times, allowing the audience to travel to ancient China while unlocking intelligent voice explanation, observing the virtual restoration of cultural relics, and perceiving the sleep of 1,000 years of cultural relics awakening in the digital space. The core motivation of technological innovation is to pay attention to the needs of the times and the needs of the audience. The digitalization of the museum will be a deepening presentation and a better display of the excellent results of Chinese civilization. The Chinese Archaeological Museum officially opened to the public last year. Exhibitions and cultural relics can be brought to the audience through interactive smart screens for immersive cultural relics viewing experience. The exhibition of the museum is a feast of culture, a preservation and opening of wisdom of history. The application of new digital technology, the restoration of rich archaeological and cultural relics, and other cultural heritage protection work, have helped to promote the development and expansion of China's excellent traditional culture. At the Sengxinghui Museum in Sichuan, the cross-integration of science and technology, such as digital cultural relics restoration, is showing its skills in decoding cultural relics information and cultural relics restoration. Many crosshole objects have been presented to the audience in a complete combination. At Dunhuang, digital scanning, physical rendering, and other technological means have been used. The Dunhuang Sangjing Cave, as well as the history of more than 60,000 precious cultural relics hidden 100 years ago, have been moved to the exhibition site to break the timespace boundary, witnessing the important historical periods of the digital Sangjing Cave from Huanan, Beisong, to Qingma, and feeling the weight of history. In Inshu, digital technology has been used in the study of archaeology, not only building an archaeological big data platform, but also using deep learning technology to automatically decompose archaeological fragments. Xi Jinping has repeatedly emphasized the protection of the Chinese cultural heritage. The promotion of the new generation of information technology, the wisdom management and application level of the museum are constantly improving, getting more and more into public life, and becoming an important carrier for showing China's excellent traditional culture. According to the latest statistics, our country has accumulated 130,000 pieces of ancient digital resources online. The total number of collections in the National Museum is 46.65 million. The smart development of the museum in the internet age has become a trend. China's excellent traditional culture, which has been going on for a long time, has grown rapidly through new technical means. On January 5, the Prime Minister of the State Council, Qiang, organized a meeting of the State Council, studying the development of the silver and silver economy, and the policy of increasing the welfare of the elderly. Xi further optimized government services, improved administrative efficiency, and promoted the guidance of high school to do one thing. Listen to the report on the payment situation of migrant workers. Discuss the revision draft of the Accounting Act of the People's Republic of China and the draft of the Energy Act of the People's Republic of China. Xi temporarily adjusted the draft through carbon emission rights transaction management. The meeting stressed that the development of the silver and silver economy is an important measure to actively deal with the aging population and promote high-quality development. It is both present and long-term. It is necessary to make sure that the government keeps its basic and bottom-line duties. Strengthen the basic life insurance of the elderly and increase the basic public service supply. It is necessary to apply the market mechanism well and fully play the role of various business entities and social organizations. It is better to meet the multi-layered and diversified needs of the elderly and promote the development of the silver and silver economy together. It is necessary to continue to improve the relevant policy measures and focus on solving the problem of housing, retirement, medical treatment, healthcare, etc. Let the elderly enjoy a happy late year. The meeting pointed out that the satisfaction of the public and enterprises with the government's work is closely related to the specific issues of government services. It is necessary to make high-efficiency business as an important grasp of optimizing government services and improving administrative performance. Focus on the prominent issues of the public and enterprises' reaction. Strengthen cooperation and initiative in reform and innovation. Use digital technology and other means to further optimize the process of business, reduce material costs, and improve efficiency of business. It is necessary to bring a better government service experience to the people. It is necessary to form a policy of promoting high-efficiency business in a long-term way. It is necessary to sort out a series of key issues every year, and to promote good experience and good practices of local and departmental exploration in time. It is necessary to continue to catch and implement, and to continue to enhance the sense of achievement of the public and enterprises. The meeting pointed out that the Spring Festival is the peak period for the settlement of wages of migrant workers. It is necessary to do well, ensure the payment of wages of migrant workers, and strengthen the responsibility step by step. It is necessary to increase the labor force, and to fight against malicious unemployment in accordance with the law. It is necessary to improve the long-term efficiency mechanism of governance, to strengthen the evaluation and supervision of the normalization, and to promote the implementation of various systems and policies to ensure the payment of wages of migrant workers. The meeting decided to revise the draft of the China People's Republic of China Accounting Law and the China People's Republic of China Energy Law and to ask the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress to review it. Review the draft of the temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights. The meeting also studied other issues. This news. The President of the State Council, Qiang, signed the State Council decree on the day before yesterday to announce the State Council's decision to amend the temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights and to implement it from March 1, 2024. The decision was made in accordance with the focus on key issues, and to strengthen the general idea of targeted and efficient. It mainly made 4 amendments to the temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights. The first is to clearly stipulate that the work of temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights should adhere to the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, and to implement the policy and decision-making of the party and the country. The second is to take into account the international agreements that our country has accepted, and to include the temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights in the temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights. The third is to improve the temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights and to include the temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights in the temporary regulation of the transaction management of carbon emission rights that does not require the application of a license. The fourth is to strengthen the legal responsibility and to increase the punishment force for illegal behavior. New Year's Eve, everything is renewed. People from all walks of life come together. Everywhere is full of vitality and enthusiasm. There is a new atmosphere at the beginning of the year. New Year's Eve, a batch of large projects is accelerated. Qiang District's main transportation project, Huangmahai Cross-Sea Tunnel, is entering a critical stage. More than 2,800 builders are working on the front line. It is expected to be completed this year. The construction of Hainan Zimigang is on fire. In the important Mishing project, the construction site of Sanya-Ladong Railway, workers are busy setting up railings to make the final sprint for the completion of the train in April this year. The Changsang-Jiao City Bridge intercommunication project is also being accelerated. Today, the main peak of Suzhou South Railway Station is entering the stage of decoration and connecting lines. The station is expected to be completed by the end of November this year. In Zhejiang Zhoushan Island, the road railings and cross-sea projects are successfully implemented. A 10-kilometer-long road railing is 7 meters below the bed of the sea. It runs from the main island of Zhoushan to Shangyuan Mountain Island. In the new year, we will roll up our sleeves, work hard to provide stable electricity and energy to residents and companies on all islands of Zhoushan. The warm atmosphere of life at the beginning of the new year is full of heat. The winter in the northeast is particularly hot. On New Year's Day, the total number of tourists received in Liaoning and Shenyang exceeded 2.43 million people, which is 161.37% more than the previous year. In 2024, we will also open the door to the public. Our customers have reached 2,000. Compared with the previous year, it has increased by more than 2 to 3 times. I hope that in the new year, business will increase day by day and the country will prosper. On January 4, the Xinjiang-Herguos Highway exit has reached 2,480 passengers. The Zhonghe immigration and immigration visa has been in place for more than a month. The number of passengers entering and exiting the Herguos Highway exit has increased day by day. The international passenger route to and from Kazakhstan runs 20 shifts on average every day. I like China very much. China's development is very fast and beautiful. This time I'm going to travel to Shanghai to see if there is a good direction for development in the future. On the first day of the new year, Inner Mongolia's Huaihot and Baotou City have reached cooperation and will jointly transform the construction. In the 14 aspects of infrastructure, industrial coordination, and people's livelihood improvement, they have cooperated in all aspects. The 2 government services departments have launched the first batch of 192 common ideas to implement the same formalization and standardization. We will continue to expand the scope of common ideas, continue to optimize and improve the government level, innovate government governance, and optimize the business environment to provide a strong support for the high-quality development of the 2 economic societies. Beijing's key city update project, Fengtai District's International Cultural Technology Park, opened. This technology park was transformed by the Dahongmen Clothing and Trade City. So far, there have been 4 markets in the Dahongmen area that have completed the transformation upgrade. On the first day of the new year, we will continue to stick to a blueprint to the end. The opportunity is not as good as the mission. We will promote a batch of space to solve the lag and upgrade to a high-quality industrial space. On the first day of the new year, Suwei District, Zhongxinqing District, Shanghai, will launch a total of 108 city update projects. They will do a good job on the 2 old and 1 village upgrades, 15-minute community life circle construction, etc. We will continue to put the people's moving and living in the first place, and focus on the city update target mission. Do it fast and do it well. In 2024, we will definitely hand over the answers that will satisfy the party and the people. The new year is in full swing. From the desert of Gobi to the coastline, from the snow-covered plateau to the mountains and forests, the army and the soldiers have always adhered to the only fundamental standard of combat effectiveness. Focus on preparing for war with all your might, and devote yourself to the New Year's military training with a full of enthusiasm and vigorous spirit. The battlefield is full of the scenery of training where the sound of the dragon and the fire of the fire is towards the sky. In the winter season, there are military camps in the north and south of the Great River, and the war drums are rushing and the iron current is rolling. In a plateau training ground more than 4,000 meters above sea level, the Tibetan military expedition will open the curtain of the New Year's military training with a comprehensive exercise with a real battle as the background. The soldiers will successfully pass the barrier road of more than 2,000 meters such as the Shuriwa Burial Mound, the S-shaped line road, and the Fanua Tuliang in 4 minutes, to improve the combat effectiveness in the unfamiliar, cold and lack of oxygen environment. We will focus on preparing for war with all our might, and devote ourselves to the New Year's military training with a full of enthusiasm and vigorous spirit. In the task of the new year, we will continue to work hard and create new achievements. In this year's training, the Army of China has adopted a new version of the Army of China military training program. All the troops are firmly promoting the coordination of combat training, so that the training content is consistent with the combat mission, the conditions and settings are consistent with the battlefield environment, the training standards are consistent with the combat requirements, and the maximum limit is to narrow the gap between training and actual combat. In the first training of the new year, the Navy troops run to the deep sea of the ocean in search of warships to carry out practical training. In the training ground, the Navy of the Southern War Zone has a base of multiple warships, by choosing a strict natural environment, to create a real battlefield atmosphere, to construct a complex electromagnetic environment, to continuously solve problems and set risks, to ensure that the soldiers are ready to fight at any time and can fight at any time. New year, new atmosphere, new actions. We will remember the mission, with a sense of urgency, to carry out practical training firmly, to heat up the training atmosphere, to set up the actual combat standards, to insist on the beginning and the end, to set a good start for the practical military training of the new year. In the training of the new year, the Air Force, radar troops, air-to-air missile troops, and other types of troops, surrounded by multi-plane joint training, in the real battlefield environment, to train the ability of the troops to fight. In the Air Force base of the Central War Zone, a number of H-6K fighters have entered the runway one by one, and fly to different areas for multitask training. The pilots, under the complex and variable conditions in the air, fight independently, decide in close quarters, and coordinate closely, to successfully complete ground target attack, long-range simulation strike, cross-border long-range maneuvering, and other combat training. In the new year, we must maintain the fighting attitude of taking off and fighting, and in the major training missions, to be a shoulder blade, to hit the head, and to provide a strong support for the strategic strike capability of all-round drilling troops, and to defend the national air security. The latest data released by the Ministry of Commerce shows that in the first 11 months of 2023, our service trade continues to grow, and the knowledge-based service trade ratio continues to improve, becoming a new engine for service trade development. The data shows that in the first 11 months of 2023, the total number of service trade imports and exports was 58,902 yuan, an increase of 9%. From the structural point of view, the knowledge-based service trade continued to grow rapidly. In the first 11 months of 2023, the knowledge-based service import and export was 24,351.5 yuan, an increase of 8.3%. Among them, the knowledge-based service export was 13,895 yuan, an increase of 10%. The knowledge-based service import was 10,456.5 yuan, an increase of 6.1%. Since last year, China has comprehensively deepened the innovation and development of service trade, and has continued to release red points of the system. At the same time, digital technology and the digital economy are developing rapidly, driving the improvement of traditional service trade, and promoting the new business model and new model of service trade. In Nanjing, Jiangsu, a digital property rights trading company is using blockchain and other digital technologies to develop digital securities, and to provide knowledge-based services for domestic and foreign enterprises, from authentication, trading to financing, in a full life cycle. In Xiamen, Fujian, using the extreme advantages of the National Cultural Service Export Base, it has established close cultural and artistic exchanges with the 10 countries of the Eastern Alliance, and has also accelerated the pace of cultural products and services going out. At present, our country already has 112 special service export bases, covering cultural, digital services, geographical information, intellectual property rights, and language services. The international competitiveness of our country's service industry has been improved, which has played an important role in optimizing the service trade structure, and has also contributed to the effective improvement of the entire economic system and the reasonable growth of the volume. Fuyuan's Dongji fishing market, which is located at the easternmost end of China's land, has a history of 100 years. In the past, Dongji was the birthplace of fish sales, but the fish market here is particularly popular. Why is this? Let's take a look at the reporter's visit. When the reporter came here, it was already minus 30 degrees outside. But a lot of people are busy with heat on their heads, eyebrows, and eyelashes hanging on flowers, and they don't have time to wipe them off. How many boxes were sent this morning? There must be more than 20. I can show you our order. This is not finished yet. There are all over the country. There are more than a few businessmen who are so busy with heat on their heads. In the past 3 days of the New Year's holiday, the sales of Dongji fishing market increased by 24%, with a total income of more than 7 million yuan. This is unimaginable in the past. In the past, when we had a traditional business model, we didn't have time to rest in winter. Now, through the live broadcast, we can get orders every day, and we can be busy until the new year. It makes everyone in the fishing market make more money. Zhang Jianyuan told reporters that the construction of the 5G base station has enabled almost all businessmen in the fishing market to open up the online sales model. Some do live broadcasts, some open online stores on e-commerce platforms. The fishing net is seamlessly connected to the internet, and a cold chain logistics delivery system has also been built locally. Now, this fish from the Far East can be brought to the table of food lovers from all over the country as soon as possible. Look at this fish. This fish is sent to Hebei. It weighs more than 50 kilograms. It takes about 2 to 3 days to send it to Hebei. We've sent it to Yunnan, Hainan, or Xinjiang. It takes about 3 days. Today, there are less than 100,000 people in Fuyuan City, and there are 11 logistics companies. In 2023, the number of shipments reached more than 2.5 million, which increased by 38.9%. The ever-improving logistics network has made the 100-year-old fish go farther and farther. On average, 60,000 kilograms of fish are sent from here to all over the country every day, and more than 10,000 goods are imported into this small town. In a fruit shop near the fishing net, reporters saw more than 20 imported fruits from all over the world. The boss is making a video call to provide one-on-one purchase services to the residents nearby. In the past, we couldn't do it at all. Now, logistics is also convenient. As long as you make an order, you can send it home. Not long ago, a new cold chain logistics park was just built and will be handed over for use. Fuyuan is still planning the new development of Zhanghai Lianyun. The convenience of logistics, transparency of trade, and the expansion of new industries make the most eastern ancient fish market of the motherland keep up with the pace of the times and embrace the bright future in this cold winter. The 4-episode TV special feature film jointly set by the Central Committee of the National Propaganda Department and the Central Broadcasting and Television Headquarters of the Central Committee of the National Propaganda Department will be broadcast at 8 p.m. on January 6 to 9 on the CCTV channel of CCTV. The 4-episode special feature film is about solving unique problems, political supervision and security, strengthening positive momentum, and moving forward together. The 12-episode special feature film tells the Party Central Committee, which is at the heart of Comrade Xi Jinping, to maintain the alertness and firmness of solving the unique problems of the big party, to insist on the comprehensive re-establishment of the party, and to keep up with the pace of the times and embrace the bright future in this cold winter. Now let's look at a group of fast-forwarding. China Stock and Purchasing Union announced today that in December 2023, China's e-commerce logistics index was 112.4 points, and e-commerce logistics demand remained high. Among them, winter warm clothing, ice snow travel equipment and other goods became an important growth point in 2023. The e-commerce logistics index was 110.1 points, which was 4.2 points higher than last year. The overall operation of e-commerce logistics was steady and steady. Reporters learned from the National Health Insurance Bureau that the direct settlement scale of residents' health insurance insurers across provinces and regions has increased year by year. In 2023, the direct settlement of residents' health insurance across provinces and regions will be 3,135,000 people, which is 276% and 87% higher than in 2022. Reporters learned from the Ministry of Public Security that as of November 2023, 39.1 million cases of e-commerce fraud were solved nationwide, and 790,000 criminals were arrested for carrying out special operations such as breaking cards. Through in-depth promoting border police law enforcement cooperation, 410,000 e-commerce fraud criminals were transferred from Burma to China. To support the development and opening of the Hongqing-Yuyo in-depth cooperation zone, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Customs, and the Taxation Directorate launched a tax policy to implement distribution management in the cooperation zone. The policy clarifies that Hongqing is located between Hongqing and Macau as the first line, and Hongqing is located between Hongqing and mainland China as the second line. Goods in accordance with the conditions are tax-exempted or taxed by the first line. Goods in accordance with the relevant regulations are tax-exempted or taxed by the second line. The tax exemption is no more than 8,000 renminbi. The tax exemption is no more than 8,000 renminbi. Today, China Post launched the fake adult special stamps. 1 set, 2 stamps. The patterns are Tianlong Xingjian and Chunlong Xianrui respectively. China Post cooperated with the Hong Kong and Macau Post Department for the first time to jointly print the official stamps of the same subject. They were also issued at the same time. The Central Broadcasting and Television Headquarters released the gold competition resources including the Paris Olympics, the Olympic Games, the 14th National Winter Olympics, the International Basketball League, the Chinese Netball Tournament, and the China-Macau Grand Prix. There are a total of 32 gold competition resources. They also released 9 special projects from Beijing to Paris, the Chinese-French Artist Olympique, and the China Art Exhibition. The 40th Chinese-Albanian International Ice and Snow Festival is open today. This year's Ice and Snow Festival is the theme of Warm World of Ice and Snow by Yadong. There are 4 chapters, Meeting in the Ice City and Ice and Snow. The event is all about the development of special cultural tourism in Heilongjiang. According to the latest statistics published by Sichuan County in Japan today, the number of deaths caused by strong earthquakes in the Nandong area has risen to 95 people. 222 people are missing. The Sichuan County government said missing people are mainly concentrated in Lundo City and Juzhou City. It is an urgent task to find missing people. In the case of Lundo City, there may be hundreds of people still trapped in collapsed buildings. According to the Japan Land and Geospatial Institute, strong earthquakes in the Nandong Peninsula have caused landslides and other natural disasters, causing multiple roads to be blocked. According to the weather forecast, it will rain heavily on June 6 in Sichuan County and nearby areas. The risk of landslides will be further increased. I am now in Chiba City, Sichuan County, Japan. This is also one of the disaster areas. Many houses have collapsed. We are facing a shortage of supplies. There is no water, no electricity, and no cell phone signal. We have many children and they are very young. It is very troublesome to find food and drink for the children. According to the Japanese media today, a chemical plant in Kaigang City, Fushan County, Japan, has suffered damage to the capacitor of the salt acid storage, which has caused the salt acid concentration to exceed the standard to flow into the nearby river. Japan's Tokyo Yuting Airport is still investigating the incident of the Japanese aircraft colliding with the earthquake rescue aircraft. The airport will start cleaning up the wreckage of the aircraft on the runway today. All work is expected to be completed on the 7th. About 100,000 people will be affected. The extremist organization announced on the 4th that it had created the 2 explosions that occurred on the 3rd in Kerman, southeast of Iran. On the same day, Iran's first Vice President Mukarbai once again stressed that Iran will respond strongly to the attackers. The Iranian Judicial Department also said that it will seek justice through all means to crack down on terrorist activities. The UN Security Council issued a statement on the 4th strongly condemning the attack. It expressed sympathy and condolence to the victims' families and the Iranian government. The statement said, all forms of terrorism are one of the most serious threats to international peace and security. Terrorism must be investigated as a responsibility of the implementer, organizer, sponsor, and supporter. 2 explosions occurred on the 3rd in Kerman, Iran, killing 89 people and injuring more than 200. The Israeli military said on the 4th that a military plane killed a senior commander of the Islamic Jihad organization, Mahmoud Lolo, in the north of the Gaza Strip. In the south of the Gaza Strip, Hamas found another underground tunnel of the Islamic resistance movement in Palestine. On the 4th, Hamas and the Jihad continued to launch rockets towards southern Israel, claiming that the rockets were intercepted and did not cause casualties. According to the data released this week, more than 220,000 Palestinians were killed in the Ba'i conflict. The U.S. Navy said on the 4th that Yemen's Hussein weaponry detonated a UAV with explosives in the Red Sea and did not cause casualties. The U.S. military said this was the first time Hussein weaponry used such a device in the Red Sea. Yemen's Hussein weaponry has yet to respond. The Defense Department of the United States said on the 4th that the Russian air defense system destroyed 10 Qiang rockets in the air in Belgrade. 10 Ukrainian missiles were dropped in the air in Crimea. In addition, a Russian S-200 missile was dropped in the air in Lipetsk. The Ukrainian side said the fighting situation in the east and south was still severe. The Russian army attacked the Russian military in the direction of Lipetsk. On the 4th, the People's Army of Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, was attacked by a U.S. drone. 3 members, including Commander Saeed, were killed in the attack. The U.S. Defense Department spokesman Laird later confirmed this. The U.S. Defense Department spokesman Yahya Rasool stated that the U.S. attack was a public violation of international law. The press conference is over. Thank you for watching. For more news, please follow CCTV News. For more videos, please download CCTV Video. See you next time.